To build an empire, one must first understand that true creation begins not with the outer world, but with the inner world. We live in a world that often teaches us to seek external validation, to wait for signs from the universe, or to react to the circumstances around us. But in the process of creating something powerful, something that endures and leaves a lasting impact, the key lies in the faith and trust you place in your inner world, in your ability to shape reality from the depths of your imagination and beliefs. Creation is a continuous process. The moment you decide what you want to manifest, the process has already begun. However, the challenge most people face is the impatience that arises when they do not see immediate results. We are conditioned to think that success, wealth, influence, or any form of accomplishment should appear in the physical world right away. But the true builder of an empire understands that the outer world simply reflects what has already been created in the inner world. The outer is merely the echo of the inner state. When you remain unwavering in your vision, despite the lack of visible evidence, you are working with a law far more powerful than the world's appearances. You are working with the law of consciousness. This law is unchanging and absolute. What you assume to be true within yourself will eventually manifest in the outer world. The key, then, is to have unshakable trust in this process. Trust that the moment you choose a new reality for yourself, it has already started to take form. This is not to say that you will immediately see the fruits of your labor. Rather, it means that the seeds of your empire are already planted within you, and your job is to water and nurture them with faith, persistence, and imagination. This trust in the unseen process is not the same as blind hope or vague wishing. It is the understanding that your inner world is far more real than the outer world. The outer world changes constantly, based on circumstances, environments, and perceptions. But the inner world is where all power lies. The moment you make a decision to hold a vision and remain loyal to it, you are shaping the future. You are planting a seed, and every moment you persist in your assumption, you are nurturing that seed, causing it to grow and take form. In practical terms, this means you must refuse to be swayed by what you see in the physical world. You must not base your actions or beliefs on appearances. The world will show you evidence of its current state, but that is not the reality you are creating. The reality you are creating exists already within your imagination, and it is there that you must remain. When you hold steadfast to your vision, when you dwell in the feeling of the end as though it has already been achieved, you create momentum. This momentum is unseen at first, but it is real. Every thought, every emotion, every assumption that aligns with your vision contributes to the shaping of the new reality. Time is a necessary component of this process. In the external world, time may seem to drag on without any sign of change. This is where many become discouraged. They doubt the process. They start to think they are doing something wrong, or that perhaps their vision will never come to pass. But the greatest builders know that time is not the enemy. Time is simply the space in which your inner creation can manifest into the outer world. Trusting in time means that you understand the process is already in motion, even if you cannot see it yet. The seed you have planted is already taking root in the soil of the universe. It may not be visible to the naked eye, but it is there, growing, expanding, and preparing to break through. In fact, the greatest creators know that it is precisely during these times of unseen growth that the most important work is being done. The universe is rearranging itself. Opportunities are aligning. People are being drawn to you. The circumstances you need to bring your vision to fruition are already being put into place. All of this happens in the unseen, beneath the surface of what you can perceive. Your trust, then, is the key to unlocking the results of your vision. When you persist in the assumption that it is already done, you align yourself with this unseen process. The empire you wish to build whether it be in business, personal growth, relationships, or any other area, is already within you. The desire for it exists in your heart, and that desire is not random or without purpose. It is your calling to bring that vision into being, but the process requires you to trust in the unseen workings of the universe. The moment you hold fast to your vision and live as though it is already done, you begin to see subtle changes in your external reality. People and opportunities will appear where there once were none. The circumstances will change to match the internal shift you have made. What does it mean to act as if? It means adopting the mental and emotional state of someone who has already achieved their goals. If you wish to build an empire, you must begin to think like someone who already owns an empire. You must assume the role of the ruler of your life and take action from that mindset. You do not wait for the world to tell you that you're capable, worthy, or ready. You know that you are, and you live accordingly. The actions you take, the decisions you make, and the opportunities you embrace must be in alignment with the person you have already become in your mind. The world around you is simply a reflection of your inner world. Your external circumstances are the result of your inner beliefs and assumptions. If you assume that you are building an empire, that your success is inevitable, and that you are capable of creating your desired reality, your world will begin to reflect those assumptions. Opportunities will present themselves. People will be drawn to you. The necessary resources will flow to you, because the universe is always responding to the vibrations you put out into it. Living from the end requires consistency. It is not enough to briefly think of your success and then return to old patterns of doubt and uncertainty. You must live in the end consistently, day in and day out. This means thinking, speaking, and acting as though your empire is already in place. The more you consistently act from this place of assumption, the more your reality will shift to match it. It is not about waiting for the world to catch up with you. It is about stepping into the world that you have already created in your mind. By living from the end, you tap into the creative power that lies within you. You do not need to figure out how everything will come together. The universe will unfold in response to your unwavering belief in your desired reality. Just as a builder does not question whether the materials will appear when they begin construction, you too must trust that your empire is already on its way. All that is required is that you assume the state of the person who already possesses it, and the world will follow suit. If the empire you seek to build were already yours, how would you carry yourself? Would you walk with uncertainty, waiting for signs and validations from the outside world? Or would you move with quiet confidence, knowing the throne is already yours? The secret to true creation lies in the ability to act from the state of fulfillment, not toward it. To act as if is not pretense or arrogance, it is divine intelligence at work. It is the silent knowing that the invisible is more real than what is seen. What appears in the world is only the echo of what has been assumed within. When you begin to build your life from this understanding, you are no longer reacting to appearances. You are no longer moved by delay, by doubt, or by lack. Instead, you become still and deliberate, taking each step with the conviction that the empire you envision is already complete. Your inner conversations change. You no longer ask, "How will it happen?" because you already know it is done. You already know the unseen forces have begun to move in harmony with your assumption. You are not wishing, you are not hoping, you are assuming. To act as if you are building an empire is to align every thought, every word, and every feeling with the finished vision. It is to wake up each day and carry the energy of the one who already rules, who already owns, who already embodies the success they once longed for. The mind will attempt to distract you with what appears to be real circumstances, setbacks, and silence from the world around you. But your task is not to obey the senses. Your task is to remain loyal to the unseen, to the reality you are constructing within. All creation begins in the imagination. This inner world is the workshop where ideas are shaped, nurtured, and clothed in reality. When you assume the role of someone who is building an empire, the universe recognizes that assumption and moves to support it. The law is precise. It does not respond to wishful thinking, but to the inner conviction that what is believed is already true. So the more you dwell in that state, the more natural it becomes. The thoughts of lack dissolve. The habits of limitation weaken. You begin to behave as though you've already won by universal law. That behavior must bring forth the physical evidence to match it. This is why acting as if is not about pretending. It is about creating from the only place creation can begin, within. You are not fooling the world, you are informing it. You are broadcasting a signal of certainty, of strength, and of fulfilled desire. That signal will echo back as people, opportunities, ideas, and results that reflect your inner state. Every great structure is first built in blueprint form before it ever rises in stone. Your mind is the blueprint. Your assumption is the foundation. And your actions, aligned with that inner truth, become the tools through which the invisible becomes visible. As you persist in this state, you are not building blindly. You are building with vision. You are not searching for signs. You are sending them. You are not hoping to be chosen. You are declaring that you have already chosen yourself. This is how empires rise from within, in silence, through certainty, and through the sacred act of living as if. Creation does not begin when something appears in the world. Creation begins the moment you accept the idea as already done within you. The imagination is not a place to escape reality. It is the place where reality is born. Everything you now see, every structure, invention, movement, or circumstance was once invisible. It existed first in thought, in vision, in assumption. That is the true birthplace of all empires. To build an empire, you must first become intimate with the unseen. You must see it clearly in your mind and feel it deeply in your heart long before the world gives you any evidence of its existence. The inner world is far more powerful than the outer one. It may seem at first like nothing is happening when you imagine. But what you are doing in that moment is planting a seed in the infinite soil of consciousness. And just as the farmer does not dig up the seed every day to check its progress, you too must trust the process. When you imagine clearly, with feeling and conviction, you are giving life to the unseen. You are setting into motion a chain of events that the rational mind cannot understand. This is not fantasy, it is law. It is not illusion, it is the first phase of reality. To build anything lasting, anything powerful, it must first be constructed mentally, and not once or twice, but over and over with persistence and faith. You must live in the mental image of your completed empire until it becomes more real to you than what your senses report. The moment you become loyal to that inner vision, everything begins to shift. You are not waiting for the world to change. You are changing your concept of self, and the world mirrors that change. Every thought is creative. Every assumption sets something in motion. So when you sit in silence and deliberately see yourself as already successful, already fulfilled, already ruling your life with confidence and clarity, you are creating conditions that will eventually harden into fact. But you must do this not as a daydreamer, but as one who knows, as one who understands that reality is not something you chase, it is something you embody. Imagination must be used deliberately. You must give it direction. You must feed it with the feeling of the wish fulfilled. See yourself in the position you desire to hold. Feel what it would be like to live in that new reality. Hear the words others would say to you. Walk in that world. Speak from that place. Breathe in that atmosphere. When you do this, you are dwelling in the state of your desire, and this dwelling is what causes it to be born. The mistake many make is imagining only once and then falling back into doubt, thinking the world needs to show signs before belief can return. But it is not the world's role to convince you. Your role is to convince yourself. Your only work is to persist in the assumption that what you want is already yours. As you do, the outer world must rearrange to make that inner truth visible. The empire is built first within, and once it is built there, no force can stop it from manifesting without. There is a silent power in assumption, a force so precise that once it is understood, the entire world begins to bend to the will of the one who uses it. When you adopt the identity of the person who already possesses what they desire, you no longer chase outcomes. Instead, you become the cause of your reality. The assumption is not merely wishful thinking. It is the conscious act of embodying a new state of being, one where the desire is already fulfilled and the goal already attained. It is not about waiting for the change. It is about becoming the change now. To embody the mindset of one who has already succeeded is to declare inwardly that your reality is already complete. This is not performance, it is alignment. You are not putting on a mask. You are revealing your truest self, the self that is no longer striving, no longer hoping, but simply living as though the promise has already been fulfilled. And in that quiet confidence, the world takes notice. People respond differently. Circumstances begin to shift, not because you force them to, but because you assume the role that aligned with your desire. Your self-concept is the foundation of all manifestation. You can only experience in life what you believe yourself to be. If you continue to see yourself as someone striving, trying, hoping, you will experience more striving, more trying, and more hope deferred. But when you shift your self-concept to someone who has already become, already achieved, already arrived, life begins to mirror that assumption. It's not about pretending to be something you're not. It's about recognizing that who you wish to be already exists within you. And the moment you claim it in consciousness, the world must reflect it. This is not achieved through force. You do not need to convince anyone of your transformation. You do not need external approval. The only transformation that matters is the one that happens internally. The one where you stop asking for permission to believe in yourself and simply begin to live from the truth of your desire. This new identity becomes your compass. It guides your actions, your speech, your thoughts. Every move you make begins to reflect the reality you've already assumed within. When doubts arise, they are not a sign that you have failed. They are simply the echoes of an old self. Let them pass. Do not engage with them. Return to your chosen state and dwell there. Persist in the inner feeling of having already achieved. This feeling, when held long enough, becomes fact. Life will always give you evidence of who you believe yourself to be. So believe wisely, assume powerfully, walk boldly. The world cannot resist the clarity of one who knows who they are. When you align yourself with the identity of the fulfilled version of you, every action becomes inspired. Every decision flows naturally. You are no longer reacting to the world, you are directing it, not through force, but through consciousness. You have become the one who already owns the empire, and so the empire must now appear. Every structure you see in the world, every empire, every great movement, every shift in history began not with physical effort, but with a single internal assumption. The outer world is nothing more than the reflection of what man dares to assume as true within himself. If you wish to build something extraordinary, it is not your outer labor that matters, most it is your inner conviction. The true building begins when you no longer seek validation from the visible world, but instead rest confidently in the unseen, knowing that the world must follow the pattern you hold in consciousness. The secret lies in your ability to persist in that assumption, to remain faithful to the end you have seen in your imagination. It may not appear at once. The physical world often delays, but the inner world never lies. The moment you assume something to be true, the process begins. But many abandon their vision too soon. They look around, see no immediate evidence, and declare that nothing is happening. Yet, the seed has already been planted. The delay is not denial, it is a test of your faith in the unseen reality. When you persist in the assumption of success, wealth, influence, or peace, regardless of what the senses report, you are exercising true creative power. The world might contradict you. Friends might question you. Circumstances might laugh in your face. But if you remain unmovable, you continue to live from the inner conviction that it is already done, the world must rearrange to match your inner state. This is not a matter of force or struggle. It is the quiet persistence of inner vision over outer fact. Most people are enslaved by appearances. They allow what they see to dictate what they believe. But if you understand that appearances are only the echo of past thoughts and beliefs, you will stop reacting to them. Instead, you will respond by returning to your inner state, reaffirming your chosen assumption, and walking as though it were already true. The world will follow not by chance, not by luck, but by law. The law is simple. Persist in the assumption, and it will harden into fact. This persistence is not about repetition or effort. It is about remaining in the feeling of the fulfilled desire. It is about allowing no contradictory thought to take root. If an old belief arises, do not fight it. Simply return to the state of the wish fulfilled. Dwell there, speak from it, think from it, act from it. The moment you begin to live from your desired reality, you enter into union with it. That union is the cause of all manifestation. Nothing stands between you and your empire but your own belief in its absence. When you refuse to accept lack, when you decline to see yourself as anything less than what you desire to be, you have already begun to build. Each moment you persist in the assumption, you are laying the invisible bricks of your future reality. And no matter how long it takes, if you remain faithful to that assumption, the world cannot help but catch up. To command the world around you, you must first command the world within you. All authority, all movement, and all manifestation originate from the unseen realm of thought and feeling. You are not a passive observer in life. You are its cause. The moment you realize this, the power to build, to change, to create becomes not something you chase, but something you embody. The empire you desire does not come from striving outwardly. It comes from inner alignment with the truth that you are already what you seek to become. True transformation begins when you stop seeking power outside yourself and recognize that all outer results are but shadows of inner states. To live from a place of authority is not to dominate others or force outcomes, but to quietly know that your inner world governs the outer. When you speak with conviction, act with confidence, and think with clarity, you are not asking life to respond, you are declaring that it already has. Every word you speak, every emotion you entertain, every belief you repeat is a command to the world, and the world responds not to your wishes, but to your self-concept. You must assume the authority of your chosen reality. This means you no longer beg for signs, no longer wait for permission, and no longer wonder if your vision will come to pass. You decide that it is already done. You walk as one who already possesses the kingdom. You speak from the mountain, not toward it. When you carry this state within, your vibration changes. Your presence shifts. You no longer need to explain or defend your desire. You simply live in the awareness that your inner world is the only cause. This level of authority is not arrogance. It is divine confidence. It is the knowing that your imagination is the creative power, and what you consistently dwell upon will become your experience. When you persist in a chosen assumption, no matter what the senses report, you are exercising the highest form of control. The world may resist at first. Appearances may remain unchanged. But if you hold the vision within you and live from it as if it were already real, the illusion must break and truth must rise in its place. Your authority is maintained by where you place your attention. Do you give your energy to doubt, to fear, to delay? Or do you give it to your vision, your inner certainty, your chosen identity? That is the difference between creation and stagnation. Every moment you are choosing what kind of world you live in by how you feel about yourself. And the moment you refuse to be defined by what is, and instead define yourself by what will be, the world must shift. The one who lives as if they already possess their empire walks differently, thinks differently, and speaks with a quiet power that does not need approval. That inner authority begins to shape their reality. The outer world must mirror the inner ruler. So, claim your authority not with noise, not with force, but with silent certainty. What you accept as true of yourself in the depths of your being is what life will one day reflect back to you. You are the builder, the architect, and the ruler of your inner world. And because the inner world is the only true cause, everything in the outer must eventually reflect what you have dared to claim within. The empire you seek is not a far-off dream. It is a present reality waiting to be acknowledged, felt, and lived from. The moment you assume the feeling of its fulfillment, the invisible foundations begin to take shape. And though the world may offer no immediate signs, your unwavering inner knowing is the signal that it is already yours. This journey does not demand struggle, effort, or strain. It demands awareness. It requires that you turn your attention inward, that you discipline your imagination, and that you remain faithful to the vision regardless of appearances. What you feel to be true within, you will experience without. This is not a theory, it is law. The law of consciousness, the law of assumption, the law of becoming. Everything responds to you not in reaction to your words or actions, but in response to the state from which those words and actions emerge. And as you persist in this inner state, as you live, think, and move from the end you have chosen, you step into the only creative power there is. You no longer react to life, you initiate it. You no longer chase outcomes, you embody them. And in this embodiment, all things begin to flow to you. Opportunities arise, people align, and events unfold, not because you forced them to, but because you matched the frequency of their existence. This is the quiet power of assumption. This is the discipline of acting as if not from fantasy, but from faith. Not from pretending, but from knowing. And as you continue to remain loyal to the vision within you, as you persist in the unseen reality with confidence and love, the empire must take form. It is not a question of if, but only of when. Time is the servant of your inner state. Space is the stage on which your inner convictions play out. So dare to imagine boldly, dare to feel deeply, dare to persist faithfully, because the world you long to see already exists within you. And the moment you choose to live from it, the process of its manifestation has begun. Walk with the knowing that what you seek is already seeking you, and in the silence of your conviction, let the empire rise.